Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 and Season 7 videos. Now I did promise that I'll be bringing you updates every once in a while on the future seasons of AOS, talking updates, talking theories, and as well talking things that in some cases I might have forgotten mentioning on my latest update video. On this video though, there are a few topics that I plan on focusing on. 1. Agent Daviiz and what is happening with him when it comes to theories. 2. The start of the filming of Season 7 and what that could mean for Season 6. 3. The title of the premiere and what that might entail. 4. Daisy's powers come Season 6. And finally 5. Possible plots for Season 6 based on a few guest character names that did come to my attention as of recently. Now there's a lot more to talk about over here, but in the spirit of keeping this all short and brief, even though my AOS videos are never really all that short or all that brief, I will still try to limit myself to these 5 points, maybe add 1 point along the way, but that's gonna be it. I will be coming back to you as well with another video later on this month. It's mostly gonna be theories, unless of course something new comes up, some news about the next season or the season that follows. But that being said though, and in the spirit of not wasting any more time, let's get started and let's go. And number 1, let's talk some Agent Daviiz portrayed on the series by none other than Max Fazinski. Now Agent Daviiz has been quite the enigma with his resurfacing on Season 5 with only his card to show for his encounter with AIDA close to the end of Season 4. So what do we know over here? We know that, number 1, Daviiz has told his story to 2 people so far on Season 5, Agent Piper and Deke.
That is insane. I mean, it's a miracle you survived all that with just 1 scar.
Yeah.
You tell everyone that story.
I don't think they care.
2, both Deke and Piper were quite surprised and taken by the story.
You gotta be kidding me. That is totally nuts.
No joke. It really happened. Good thing too, otherwise it would have killed me.
3, Agent Kim did interrupt Deke as he was taken by surprise by the story, telling him that he's heard the story enough. Now this one in specific does insinuate that Daviiz has been walking around telling the story over and over and over again, and probably, or possibly at least, without being asked about it.
I've had to hear this story enough. Yeah, but that's the most incredible story I've ever heard.
But finally 4, the one thing that bothered me about all of this the most, the fact that no one from the core S.H.I.E.L.D. team ever questioned the return of Daviiz. Alright, I do admit that these people had a lot on their plates since they reunited with the guy on the 12th episode of Season 5, but not for a single moment did one of them stop to wonder, is this guy the real deal? Is he for real? I think Daviiz did answer a question as well posed by Piper about whether or not they know about what happened to him with a negative, like they don't care, something of that sort. And it is pretty surprising considering these guys have gone through what they went through on Season 4, especially with AIDA. I mean, she replaced May, Coulson, Mace, and Mac. She sent the replacements into S.H.I.E.L.D. to wreak havoc upon S.H.I.E.L.D., and she imprisoned the originals within the framework. So it always sounded to me like a plot device, and a possibly silly one at that they never cared about what Daviiz might be and just jumped right into business with him. But anyway, going back to the 3rd point with Agent Kim and the fact that Daviiz keeps repeating the story to almost each and every person that he meets except for the core team S.H.I.E.L.D. This does indeed pose a very important question. Is Daviiz hiding something and overcompensating by repeatedly relaying this story? Or is the show and the producers just teasing us as the audience for the sake of teasing? So if it were to be the first, I'm assuming here that relaying this story this repeatedly could be just a tactic or strategy to ensure that this one story is the first thing that does come to mind when thinking about him. That way, and if the story does spread amongst everyone, no one would ever really doubt him unless they really give it a deep thought. The second premise though, all about the teasing here, that's possibly because they do not have an explanation in mind yet. So in such case, what they're trying to do over here is they're giving us some people who support Daviiz, understand what he's saying and believe what he's saying, and they're just giving us the excuse of all of these people do believe him, you might as well believe he's nothing but Daviiz, even though you never heard the story. But anyway though, and to get past this topic to the next one, let's for the time being present all the options I'm thinking of here. So 1. Agent Daviiz is the last of the LMDs, created by AIDA as part of a plan that did not unfold as of the end of Season 4. The her plans did not unfold part is of course because of her untimely demise at the hands of Coulson and the Spirit of Vengeance. 2. Agent Daviiz as a Skrull. We've got no idea what the Skrulls are gonna be like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, we know what they're gonna look like, but what they're gonna be like. The one thing that we do know for certain is they're gonna be shapeshifters, but even then, we do not really know if the Marvel Cinematic Universe is gonna impose certain conditions on such shape-shifting. But anyway, though, him being a Skrull could be a very good reason as to why they never addressed him on Season 5. I just believe that until Captain Marvel is released in March, the TV side of things is not really allowed to do anything Skrulls, to even use the word Skrulls on any series. A perfect example to support this statement is the fact that they introduced Zavin on Runaways as a Zartan instead of a Super Skrull as per the comics. But finally, 3. Agent Daviiz is just Agent Daviiz. The writers, when rewriting him in, did not have any explanation as to how he made it out alive. That is why they really gave us the "we explained it to the rest of the characters and they are convinced you should be as well" kind of explanation. I'd say it's either the LMD option or the Skrull option, with more emphasis of course in the LMD option, but you really never know. But now that we're done with the biggest and chunkiest topic on this video, let's move on to the filming of Season 7 and Number 2. Now, according to reports, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is scheduled to start filming its 7th, hopefully not final season, in February. Now, this could mean any of a multitude of things, ranging from a bad business decision to the 2 options that I'm going to be presenting on this video. Honestly, the option that does stand out over here is the availability of an additional 13 episodes or so once Season 6 starts airing. So an interesting fact over here would be that a lot of series, usually in their freshman seasons, but sometimes later into their life cycles, end up, while a season of said episodes is airing, getting a back order for additional episodes for that very season. A perfect example off the top of my head is the 2nd season of Legion. So, around the time that FX was airing the season's 4th or maybe 5th episode, they ordered an additional episode for the season, bringing up the episode count for the season from 10 to 11 episodes. So the question here is, could filming this early mean that they want a few extra episodes in their back pocket, just in case? It all really depends on a lot of things, including but not limited to the series that they've got lined up for the fall, how many of those, what kind are they, and the projections of their possible success or failure. Now there's this entire business rationale that I base this kind of speculation on. I was planning to discuss it over here, but I'm thinking right now it does not make any sense to bore you with it. But if you do want to discuss it, we can discuss it all you want in the comments. Just drop me a comment and I can bore you to death with all the details. But let's discuss that other option I was speaking about, the series eyeing a mid-season entry for Season 7. That would mean that instead of Season 7 happening in the summer of 2020, it would end up airing sometime between January and March of the same year. But moving on, the next 2 topics are 2 that I missed mentioning on my first update video that I posted a couple of weeks ago. So number 3, the title of the premiere of Season 6 is Missing Pieces. So last we watched AOS, Coulson was dying, May was with him, and the team, or what remains of it, were on their way to space to find Fitz. Now the title of the premiere, it's not really all that revealing and it does not give away all that much, but in my humble opinion, there are a few possibilities as to what it could mean. It all depends though on whether or not they're gonna do a post-getting Fitz back time jump at the beginning of the season or not. So 1, it could be a reference to the missing members of the team, both fallen and away. So Coulson comes to mind definitely, and in all cases, May and Fitz as well do come to mind if the show is not planning to do one of those time jumps. 2, it could refer to some kind of a metaphorical puzzle, pieces of information maybe that they're missing in order to get back Fitz. But finally 3, which is pretty much the same as 2, only the pieces of the puzzle are about an all-new villain. Now supposedly the entirety of the 6th season is going to be taking place in space, considering the 6th season announcement, while not giving us much, gave us quite this space-ish feel. The way things as well were left with Kasai's father, Tarian, I can only imagine he'll be showing up once again on the series, possibly seeking vengeance, if not actually trying his luck to get his hands on Inhumans. In all cases, there's also another argument to support the fact that it's gonna be a space arc. Gonna be talking about it at the end of the video though. But moving on to Daisy and her surge of powers as she fought Graviton at the end of Season 5 and number 4. On one of the very first interviews, right after the airing of the Season 5 finale, the producers of the series stated that the powers on Daisy, as the product of using the GH serum EYING DNA mix, are going to be a thing of Season 6. Now what that means is that the changes to Daisy's abilities are not temporary, but rather more of the permanent kind. I know there is the argument that it is just the GH serum that should be affecting her over here, because she already had EYING's DNA in her, being her daughter and all. However though, I would say that the response to such an argument would be a solid no, because one, what Daisy injected herself with on the finale of Season 5 was not really EYING's DNA, but rather the product of mixing it with the GH serum, and two, children or offsprings, they do not really get their entire DNA off of any single one of their parents, but instead they do get a random set of chromosomes from each of them. That is exactly why when looking at the case of Ellen Nadir and Vijay Nadir from Season 4, and even though siblings, one of them turned out to be an inhuman while the other one turned out to be a regular human. The only one exception to this rule of random chromosomes is the Y chromosome. When a man has a son, he gives his son the Y chromosome. The rest of the chromosomes of a son though are still all random. But that does bring us to the last item on our docket for this video, and number 5. So the names of a few guest stars on some of the episodes of Season 6 have already made it out to IMDb. I would take this with a grain of salt because IMDb is not always right with these things, but considering they're not always wrong as well, I would keep them in mind, kinda consider them at least. So on the page of the 7th episode of the season we have the name of one guest star in the role of an alien. Now that does suggest that while it is a possibility aliens might be coming to Earth, even though that would be repetitive, the argument that I did make earlier about the entirety or the majority of the 6th season being set in space does make a lot more sense over here. On another note, the IMDb page for the 5th episode of the season does present us with one Danny Pierce in the role of one CHRONICOM Hunter number 1. Now the name CHRONICOM Hunter does indicate one of two things. One, the name is either a job description, so he's a CHRONICOM and a hunter, which begs the question, who is he going to be hunting? But there's also two, he's exactly what the name indicates, someone who hunts CHRONICOMs. Now, in either case, that almost confirms that we're going to be seeing a lot of Mr. ENOCH come Season 6. But in the first case, this being a job description of an actual CHRONICOM, that opens the possibility that ENOCH is in breach of the rules that CHRONICOMs go by, so he's being hunted by his own people. And I'm not really talking about him helping on Season 5, because they were allowed to do that according to what he said and what Noah said.
Hey, you sent my friends into the future. I call that some serious interference.
Our protocol allows for one exception. The prevention of an extinction-level event.
What?
I cannot. That would be interfering with the natural course of...
You people literally kidnapped us and then took us to another time.
As has been thoroughly explained, that was an extinction-level event.
However though, there's a little bit of a twist that I'm thinking about over here. This particular version of ENOCH might just be in breach just because of that. When you think about it, this mission with ENOCH and Fitz in space does not make any more sense because there is no world to save anymore, no extinction level event. So what if the CHRONICOMs in this timeline see it that way? Why did you interfere when there was no real extinction level event incoming? You just identified yourself to this guy and these people, took him in space, and there was no real need to do that. But considering though this is gonna be deep into the season like on episode 5, there is always the chance that this is happening because of his continued interference rather than as a product of the first time that he did interfere. So I could imagine that extinction level or not, he does continue to work with Team S.H.I.E.L.D. post finding Fitz. But speaking of the second option here, it could be about someone who hunts CHRONICOMs for a living. You do know what CHRONICOMs are like, they've got those juicy insides, as seen with ENOCH at the very end of the first arc of Season 5. But finally though, the final indication from seeing the name of this guest character on the guest starring list, it is the fact that he's probably not the only one, he's only CHRONICOM Hunter number 1. So at least there's another one, a CHRONICOM Hunter number 2, and at most the sky's the limit really. But that's really all for this video, a lot more to discuss. The talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. never really ends, but I've got to end it somewhere and at some point. So I'm going to be trying to post another video sometime soon, but in the meanwhile you can let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, you can let me know what you thought of the news on this video, and you can let me know if you've got any theories when it comes to Season 6. You can let me know as well if you did like this video by dropping it one of those much appreciated likes, and if you did like it, you can always subscribe and enable notifications for my future videos, community posts, and live streams. Until the next time though that you tune in for another one of my videos, thank you so much for tuning into this one, and have a great day.